Hello, everyone. I know I'm starting 4 minutes earlier, but I thought I would. All right. So I hope you guys are doing well, and we are going to have daylight savings. I was actually confused. I was thinking it was today, but it's actually tomorrow. So no confusion because I googled it. So anyway, just joking. Yes. So next week onwards, there'll be a different time difference. With that, I hope you guys have been doing well. It's been a very, very intense week. Many of you guys, many divine feminines have been writing to me, telling me what a roller coaster of a week it has been, and that truly you're feeling all sorts of emotions coming in. Before I start, I want to make sure that, everything is good, everything is clear, and let me get everyone in and then we will begin. All right. I hope you guys are excited for today's discourse. I saw a lot of you guys coming in. All right. Perfect. So I hope you guys have been well, and like I said, last week has been a emotional roller coaster for many divine feminines. We were feeling all kinds of feelings. So the feelings and emotions, and please consider that a massive purging period. Always, the week leading up to Halloween, that happens. So happy belated Halloween, and happy 111 portal, everyone. So today we are starting the month, starting the day with radiance and beauty and transformation. So truly, truly excited about today's discourse. I was like thinking about it, yesterday. What should I do? What discourse should I do? And with God's grace, this is the topic that I decided, the collapse of the fantasy and when it all starts becoming a goal. So, to all my beloved twin flames, fellow divine feminines, star travelers, star seeds, welcome to another Saturday night life. All right. Again, this is not your traditional Saturday night life. This is more centered for our work on the exploration of the cosmos. More of not, from Earth to outside. It's more from the galaxies to Earth. So this week, so before I delve right into topic, I'm going to do a bit of what to look forward to next week, and what do we have to prepare for as we are in the shadow week of Mercury Retrograde. So before that, this week the cosmos is humming with a lot of shifts and deep revisitation. So if you're feeling triggered by your divine masculine, or you're visiting a place that you used to hang out, or you end up going to places that you've been before, major memory triggers, but it's happening for a reason. Like the universe is bringing you to these places to remind you that your divine masculine is thinking of you. So that's why the twin flame union field is very, very, very active. It's rich with opportunity this week. Opportunity to reflect, recalibrate, and realign. So we are not in mere surface romance. You know that, right? We are in the sacred vibration of soul mirrors, karmic correction, and multidimensional reconnection. So as we hold the heart of our beloved divine masculine, we also hold the mirror of ourselves. So with that, let's actually go delve right into what's actually happening in the sky. So let's set the foundation first. At present, early November 2025, we are in the phase between major retrograde stations. So according to the online astrology calculators, Mercury will station retrograde on the 9th of November in Sagittarius, moving into Scorpio before turning direct on the 29th of November. So 9 to 29 of November, if your printer is not working at work, welcome to my life. It always happens. In fact, it starts excuse me, it starts happening pre Mercury retrograde itself. There will be a lot of online related issues. That's why I've also noticed the trolls, just when previously it was during the previous Mercury retrograde as well, there were a lot of trolls. So technologically, Mercury retrograde is all about communication. There's two sides to it. So the positive side is for twin flames. This is a good period. Again, you have to see it this way: if you vibrate high, you might be able to see things much more clearly. If you are dropping down on vibration, that too, soul expression. Do not get too carried away by that. But the most important thing is divine masculines will communicate during this period. Often there are often 3 Mercury retrogrades in a year, and you would see from the pre-Mercury retrograde period itself, you will notice a lot of things happening. The famous one is your printer not working or malfunctioning at work, or delays, lag, and also the emotions can be a bit rocky, because that's what Mercury retrograde can be about. But however, for twin flames, retrogrades always mean reset, rest, and recalibration. And guys, Jupiter will station retrograde on the 11th of November with the 1111 portal. So guys, I've opened up spots for the 1111 portal, and I still have spots for the 111 1st November portal as well. But if you guys have missed that, book early so that you can get the time slot of your choice, because all of my healings activations are conducted via video call live by me. So book in early, fix a time with me. The earlier you book in, you'll be able to get the time of your choice. And the good news is, just like how much I love Saturn retrograde, I love Jupiter retrograde too, because Father Jupiter is amazing. And again, it's a double blow for divine masculines, because a lot of things are going to happen. So Jupiter retrograde is going to go until the 10th of March. So that's going to be 4 months. So it's going to be an amazing period. So this is also another sacred union window. And Saturn retrograde, my favorite all-time retrograde, now with Jupiter retrograde, my 2 favorite retrogrades, will continue. Saturn retrograde would continue till the 27th of November. So Father Saturn has been amazing the last couple of months, especially with accountability. Divine masculines have lately been purging so much. Divine masculines all across the galaxies too included. Divine masculines are going through major past life release. They are also thinking about all the mean things they have said. And that's why this is a period of forgiveness. As Jupiter and Saturn meets, union happens. Truly. So the overlap period, November 11 to November 27, is such an auspicious period, guys. Such a auspicious period. Like really, miracles will happen. You guys will say, you will literally comment saying that miracles are happening. So truly, very auspicious period. And really, Saturn retrograde, thank Father Saturn. Really, he has been amazing. Even with the Divine Feminine Collective, he has been amazing and helping us understand what this journey is about. So truly, guys, so all praise to God always. So Neptune likewise will be in retrograde, all right, till December, and Pluto retrograde is over. So that's why you may be feeling a lot of the post-Pluto retrograde energies. Pluto retrograde ends, Pluto go direct, but the shift has been very intense. So that's why. What does this mean? Although there isn't a new retrograde initiating this week, you are in a deep retrograde field with Saturn, Neptune, and soon Mercury and Jupiter. The momentum is inward, reflective, and transformational. So what are the key themes for all twin flames out there in the retrograde field. So for us, this is a period of intense growth, reunion, and the cosmic climate invites us three major themes. Reviewing the blueprint of union with Saturn retrograde. You are revisiting the structures, foundations, and agreements of our union. Perhaps you're being asked what supports us, what undermines us. Saturn in its shadow invites facing the real contract, the truth of what you promised each other across lifetimes and what the current expression looks like. That's why for us twin flames, and especially for those of you who have been through separation, for all of us who have been through separation, silence, awakening, for twin flames who have been through, for all of us twin flames who have been through separation, silence, awakening, this is fertile ground. Does our union rest on mutual spiritual sovereignty or codependency? Are you aligned with purpose or still unconsciously seeking rescue? Please reflect on these questions. Secondly, reconnecting with soul purpose rather than reaction. So, the beautiful thing about Neptune retrograde, it basically means dissolving the illusion. I've said this in my daily channelings all the time. Again, guys, I'm going to shift away with the what is your divine masculine feeling today, because as the community grows on YouTube, people, a lot of people seem to have issues with the filter thing. Really, guys, when I started doing the whole what is going on with your divine masculine series, I think TikTok just introduced its filters, so we're just playing with it, so nothing to do with trying to enhance my appearance. Like, truly, I very blessed, I'm very grateful to God, I'm very grateful to my mom and dad, because I think I look pretty all right. So really, guys, I am tired of the constant comments about the filters, so I'm totally closing that what is your divine masculine feeling today series. So I am going to evolve it. So I'm thinking, I've been playing around a couple of ideas, so that is something I'm going to look into. And I'm not going to use TikTok anymore. In fact, I have privatized my TikTok channel as well. Well, that period is closed, so we're going to start a new period, you see. But truly, I am very blessed and I'm very grateful for how I look. And I never use any filters for all of my discourses. You can see, even over the years, you'd have seen that I've I've gained weight, I've aged, but well, that's the nature of life, and I love it. The human body is amazing. So that's why I'm like playing around some ideas, and maybe I'll do a poll or something about that. But I'm not going to do what is your day. And so I apologize for some of you who have loved that. I know for many of you guys it was very, very supportive. And I did enjoy doing it, like between 2023 to now. But I think it's time to truly, truly, truly evolve away from that. Again, a lot of people writing comments, oh, this, oh, that. Like, I tell you guys, before, it's such a small community, and you guys, many of you guys have been with me like since 2021, and I tell you, I'm so lucky to have you guys, because you guys have been the best people, best audience, best of everything. All right, so yeah, I'm truly moving into that now. So I have had a couple of ideas on my mind with regards to that, ideas around it, and which I've been thinking. So, like I want to continue the daily channelings, but not on the focus is not going to be like what is the divine masculine collective going through, even though that's what especially when we are in separation, that's what feels very soothing to the heart. But I'm thinking of moving away from that, again, because I want to totally start a whole new series, and I want to film everything on my laptop without any filters. I mean, like I said, I only use filters because it was creative, never because, for no other reason. But having said that, you know, it is what it is. So I'm going to quickly look at the comments, and then, I'm going to go into the next two parts, and then we can go right into the topic. All right, I see amazing, amazing. Oh, a lot of people are coming in. Hello, Monica. Hello, Bhavani. So lovely to see you. Yes, yes. So Bhavani's comment is so weird about what people focus on instead of the all the time. Really. Again, my heartfelt thanks to MJ. Thanks to you, I even started doing these lives, and thank you for all your protection, kindness. Really, the outside world is not very kind, but you have always been so amazing to us, MJ. Love you so much, and thank you. Thank you. When I did my first live, it was MJ who told me, "Hey, you should do it every Saturday night." So that's how these Saturday night lives were born. And really, MJ has been creating, protecting this group, this community with all her heart. And I'm so honored to be her fellow admin. And really, MJ is the one who does everything. So all gratitude to her. And I can't thank you enough, MJ. So I'll keep thanking you every time I can, really. And the more, I always think about you. Like every time there's like a troll comment, I'll think about it. If this was in the group, how MJ would have handled it, really. Thank you, MJ. You have been a wonderful friend. You have been amazing, and I love you so much. And a big shout out to MJ for managing this group, for being with us, supporting us, and truly for being such a wonderful blessing to us all. And I just have to say, I thank God every day, really. If I don't think, if not for MJ, I would even have one life. It was when I joined this group as a reader, she was like, do a live, and then it became such a thing. So I thank MJ always, and I thank God, and I thank all of you guys who have been with me since 2021, watching these lives every week. So love you all. You guys are amazing. Truly, you guys are amazing, and my deepest gratitude goes to you guys always. Hi, Nicole. Lovely to see you. And Karen says, just listening in. Girls' Weekend. And Blue Jays are playing. Go, Jays, go. Excellent. And Tracy, lovely to see you. And GB, lovely to see you as well. So amazing, amazing, amazing. Truly. I think today's live is going to be fun. And before I kind of sidetracked and got a bit emotional, but I just wanted to say thank you to the universe. Thank you, God. Every time before I start a discourse, before I start channeling, I always say thank you in my heart. Today I'll say it outside. Thank you, God, for giving me this place, giving me this space to create, to channel from my highest self, from the cosmos, for all the wisdom, for all the gifts. Thank you, God. Thank you so much. Really, I'm so honored as Divine Feminine on a twin flame journey to be able to inspire other Divine Feminines, So thank you all always. So, as I was saying, I'm going to move away from that idea. So maybe I might create a poll. I might create something along those lines. And let me see, what other comments do I have before I go back? So guys, keep the comments coming in, and then we will go right in. And one more thing. One more thing. What was it? I've totally forgot. But it's okay. It will probably come up again. All right. Let me see if I can recall. Okay. So I'm going to go right back in. like I said, Neptune retrograde means dissolving illusions, and been talking about that. One of the core, especially, it's quite sentimental, not doing the what is your divine masculine feeling today. But again, you see, everything on earth has got an expiry date, and so does those videos. And the last couple of months were really, really quite sentimental, where we're talking a lot about the retrogrades. And I will miss filming like this, what is your divine masculine feeling today, from my phone through TikTok. But well, it's yeah, it is what it is. So as I was saying, with Neptune retrograde, there's often a strong overlay of completion. You know, the other completes me, or the rescue redemption narratives. And Neptune retrograde invites you to see what is romantic myth and what is soul truth. It asks, do I love the other's essence or just the idea of union? Are we bonded at the soul level or through emotional entanglement? And this is not to downplay union, rather, it is to purify, to move from dreamy dependency into clear, luminous presence. And lastly, communication, philosophy, and direction. I just realized I forgot to put in the description. Sorry, guys, I'll add it later. See, Mercury retrograde, always doing things like this. I actually prepared a summary to post, but never mind. Afterwards, I will edit it and I'll put it in here. So I know many of you guys are like, a life without a title, but you guys know the title. So finally, with Jupiter stationing retrograde imminently and Mercury about to station, the twin flame journey is entering a phase where inner dialogue, outer communication, meaning, and expansion all get paused for review. So that's why basically Mercury is like how do we talk to each other and to ourselves, and what the union means, and what are the blocks in our communication. And like I said, it's not only about union, it's about stabilizing union, and that is work too. Everything is work in the 3D. Just because I've been in union for a while doesn't mean I can just ignore my divine masculine, right? Absolutely not. I still need to find the balance. Something that we really enjoy doing is going for a hike. So instead of date nights, we get up really early in the morning and go for a hike, and spend a whole day together. So things like that. So you got to do things that it's important to communicate, to have those conversations, to talk about day-to-day things. It's good to disagree about certain dishes, about cooking, about how our approaches, our philosophies in life. All these are great stabilizing union factors. So that's why Mercury is going to play a very crucial role this time round. And Jupiter will be what is our why, our expansion. Are we growing together or separately? Are we aligned in the higher calling or caught in the smaller story? So that is the difference between Mercury and Jupiter. So together, it's amazing, isn't it? So with that, like I said, it's an amazing week ahead. I just wanted to focus on the retrogrades, give you guys an update on that. Overall, the energies are going to continue to be quite intense. It's also going to get more intense, but in a good way, of course. So surprise communication, surprise messages, surprise flowers, anything can come in. Definitely very, very, very auspicious. And I'm going to look at more comments, and then I'm going to delve right into today's topic. All right. Let me see. All right. So perfect. So, the collapse of fantasy. Maybe, the timing of it is amazing because Neptune retrograde, it's all about collapsing fantasy, right? So every twin flame journey begins with a dream, right? When we meet our divine masculine for the first time, the feeling of home, a sense that somewhere out there, a part of our own soul is walking in another body. And this is what we feel months, years before, a part of our own soul walking in another body, waiting to remember you. That vision pulls us divine feminines forward through lifetimes of longing, grief, and devotion. But at a certain point, the dream turns into a mirror that shows us what we have been refusing to see. That the fantasy was never about our divine masculine, but it was about ourselves. So the collapse of the fantasy, it's not the end of the story, guys. It is the true beginning. It is the point where consciousness shifts from projection to embodiment, from chasing the reflection to becoming everything. That's why this lecture, this discourse, is not about romance, hope, or reunion. It's about the inner architecture that awakens when we, as divine feminines, finally realize we have been chasing our own light disguised as another human being, our divine masculine. So, how does the fantasy form? The fantasy begins in this nervous system long before it reaches the mind. So, when we meet our beloved divine masculine for the first time, the charge between us is multidimensional. That coming of home feeling that I talk about, the body interrupts it as attraction, but the soul recognizes it as remembrance. The remembrance activate ancient memories of separation. So, as the divine feminine, we feel as though we have found home, but we have actually found the mirror of our own unintegrated energy. So that's why, guys, fantasy is the nervous system attempt to stabilize the unbearable truth that we are now meeting the part of ourself that we once exiled. So we create stories to make the energy safe. He loves me, he will return, this is destiny. These stories are not lie. They are temporary, let me be very clear, temporary stabilizers for a consciousness that is trying to remember the infinite. The problem begins when we mistake the stabilizer for the destination. So that's why the shift from chasing our divine masculine to embodying the field, that's a big part of the journey, you see. When the fantasy collapses, a silence fills the space. We can no longer feel our divine masculine's energy the way we used to. The connection that once felt like oxygen now feels like static. This is not rejection. It is field correction. The universe is teaching us that the frequency that we were chasing was never outside of us. It was always the signal of our own divine template. Embodying the feel means no longer outsourcing the feeling of connection. It is a neurological and spiritual rewiring process. Literally, it's the parasympathetic nervous system begins to anchor safety within the body instead of our divine masculine's response. So the energy once projected outward as longing now condenses inward as coherence. So this is when we stop trying to get him to respond, to notice, to awaken. Instead, we become the field that already holds the union frequency. So see it this way, projection is an electromagnetic feedback loop. Every thought, image, and emotion you send out carries a frequency that seeks resonance in the external world. So when we stop feeding the loop, the external hologram dissolves. This is why during separation, so many of us divine feminines report feeling as if he disappears. Literally, it feels like that, doesn't it? But the thing is, our divine masculine has not vanished. Our energy field has simply withdrawn the charge that sustained the shared illusion. So at this point, the nervous system will panic. It interrupts neutrality as absence. But the collapse of the fantasy is not loss. It is a return of quantum accuracy. We are no longer feeding a distorted field. We are standing inside pure awareness where love no longer needs a story to exist. So that's why neutrality is not indifference. It's the highest form of awareness. It means our energy is no longer swinging between hope and despair, attachment and resistance. In neutrality, the heart becomes an instrument of resonance rather than reaction. So that's why, as our feel, as divine feminines, when our feel stabilizes, our breathing deepens and our perception widens. We begin to see our divine masculine not as the fulfiller of our longing, but as a mirror of our evolution. And this state does not happen through effort, it unfolds through allowance. Each time we feel the impulse to reach out, we breathe instead. Each time the mind demands closure, we remember that closure was never the point. Coherence was. So neutrality feels empty at first because it is free from addiction. But within that emptiness lies peace so vast that it begins to reprogram every cell of the body to hold unconditional love. That's why letting go is often misunderstood as giving up. But in spiritual physics, letting go is the moment the old waveform collapses as a new one can be born. So to let go is to release the personal control mechanism that tried to direct how love should unfold. So that's why, as divine feminines, when we step back into alignment with divine intelligence itself, when we stop clutching at the image of our divine masculine, when we discover that love has not disappeared, and that it has just simply changed form, it becomes omnipresent, breathing through our body, radiating from our eyes, guiding our path. This is transfiguration. The shift from performing love, personality love, to monadic twin flame love. In this state, we do not stop loving our divine masculine. We start loving from the universe, from cosmic consciousness that created us. God created us, right? So, when, as the divine feminine, we reach neutrality, our divine masculine system feels the change instantly. The energetic dependency that once bound our divine masculine begins to dissolve. For the first time, we can sense so many things, right? Our divine masculine can sense us without the distortion of demand. The field becomes clean, and that's when our divine masculine soul recognizes safety. He's part of the soul, I mean. So at first, our divine masculine may retreat further as his body adjusts to the loss of emotional hooks. But eventually, his energy begins to recalibrate to our coherence. So that's why when he feels drawn back, not to the fantasy of romance, but to the truth of resonance, the relationship, whether physical or purely energetic, enters a new orbit, one founded on equality, sovereignty, and mutual evolution. So that's why the final stage is integration, right? As divine feminines, we no longer measure our progress by signs, messages, or telepathic signals. We actually measure it by peace. We wake up in the morning not wondering what our divine masculine is thinking, but feeling the stillness of our own being. We move through life as a stabilized frequency of love. This is the embodied field that I keep talking about. From this space, union becomes inevitable, not because we demanded it, but because coherence naturally attracts coherence. So that's why, in the end, the fantasy collapses because reality is bigger than the dream. The dream was the doorway, reality is the home. That's why when our divine masculine stops being the goal, the journey stops being a chase and becomes creation. We begin to see that every longing was a prayer calling us back to our own heart. So the collapse of the fantasy is not the end of love. It's love finally freed from illusion. So as I'm going to continue into the part 2. When the fantasy collapses, as the divine feminine, we face a silence that feels almost unbearable. The body, once addicted to constant psychic motion, now finds itself suspended in stillness. This is the turning point where the external chase must become internal stabilization. At first, the silence would feel like abandonment. Every energetic signal once tied to our divine masculine seems to vanish. Yet, what truly disappears is not our beloved divine masculine, but the distortion created by projection. The collapse removes the energetic noise so we can begin perceiving the field itself. So the field is not an idea, it is living resonance, guys. It is the energy pattern of divine union that exists beneath thought and emotion. It does not fluctuate with contact or communication, it simply is. So, to embody the feel is to anchor awareness there, to breathe from that resonance until it becomes the nervous system's new baseline. It is the opposite of chasing. Chasing requires external feedback, embodiment requires internal trust. So each time we resist the urge to look inward, our energy begins to condense inward. So every time we resist the urge to look outward, our energy begins to condense inward. So that condensation is coherence. In coherence, the nervous system stops seeking confirmation through our divine masculine's behavior and begins to experience safety from within. And this is how the frequency of union becomes physically encoded in the body. So neutrality is the architecture that sustains embodiment. It's not detachment, nor is it emotional suppression. It is the nervous system learning to hold charge without collapsing into craving or aversion. So, in psychological terms, neutrality is the end of enmeshment. In energetic terms, it is the state where the heart's electromagnetic field operates independently from external influence. So that's why, for many of us divine feminines, this phase arrives after repeated cycles of longing, contact, disappointment, and withdrawal. The nervous system finally releases. The nervous system finally releases all kinds of attachment. The nervous system also realizes that no external event can stabilize what must be self-generated. When this awareness lands, a new form of love begins to emerge. And this is so important. Love without need. Love without need. Love without need. Love that does not collapse when unreciprocated. So this form of love is the true language of twin flames, guys. It transcends polarity while still holding the integrity of both masculine and feminine essence. So in this field, we no longer ask, will he return? But instead, am I radiating the frequency that reflects divine order? So stillness is not passive. It is a powerful, energetic event. In stillness, all neural circuits associated with obsession, fear, and anxiety lose their dominance. The vagus nerve, once conditioned to anticipate danger or abandonment, begins to signal safety again. From a spiritual physics perspective, this is the recalibration of the biofield, right? The heart, brain, and solar plexus enter harmonic resonance. This synchronization allows higher dimensional intelligence, the monadic twin flame consciousness, to integrate fully into the body. So, this is when, as divine feminines, we begin to perceive life as living communication from the universe. The messages no longer come through our divine masculine's actions or silence, but through synchronicities, intuition, and direct inner knowing. And this is what many describe as union consciousness. It is the realization that what you sought in another has always been your own field remembering itself. Soul remembrance. So the death of fantasy is both painful and sacred. It requires the dissolution of identity. the one who waited, hoped, and suffered for love. So every projection, every story, every imagined union must be surrendered. The nervous system will resist, the ego will grieve, but beneath that grief lies liberation. This stage is where many mistake neutrality for numbness. Yet, numbness is a defense, neutrality is peace. One closes the heart, the other opens it fully without expectation. So, as the divine feminine, we learn to love without gripping. We no longer perform devotion to prove worth. We simply radiate devotion because it is our natural state. And this is divine maturity. Once the energy stabilizes, the work becomes practical. The field must now be lived, not worshipped. As the divine feminine, we begin aligning our lifestyle, relationships, and choices with coherence. We no longer tolerate situations that fragment our energy. Boundaries become sacred instruments of love rather than fear. So every action becomes a micro expression of embodiment, the way we speak, work, rest, and interact. So we realize union was never meant to stay as a mystical experience. It was meant to transform how we live in the world and to embody stable, physical 3D union, right? So the collapse of fantasy strips away illusion so truth can emerge. And the truth is not that we are lost because of our divine masculine, but that we found ourselves. And the union we longed for is not postponed, it's being built in every moment we choose embodiment over escape. So neutrality becomes devotion, stillness becomes communication, presence becomes new romance. And the fantasy was the training, and embodiment is the mastery. So I know many of you guys may have a lot of questions. At this point, you may be thinking this, you may be thinking that, you may be like, what exactly is all of this, right? So the moment as the divine feminine we reach neutrality, love stops being a narrative and starts being an energy field. There are no more highs and lows, no more endless decoding of messages or silences. What remains is presence, not the absence of feeling, but the pure state of being love rather than seeking love. This stage is the hardest to describe because it cannot be understood from the mind that was addicted to oscillation. The old self needed constant reassurance, feedback, and friction to feel alive, but the soul thrives on stillness. Because in stillness, love is no longer something that happens between two people. It becomes the living intelligence that flows through all things. The field becomes our home frequency, and within the field, the divine feminine, we start to move differently, speak differently, and respond differently because our very presence alters the energetic architecture of our environment. So to live neutral love is to exist as coherence in motion, right? So in quantum terms, coherence is a state where all subparticles of energy vibrate in harmonic order. Nothing is wasted, nothing is fragmented. That's why in the human experience, this translates to energetic accuracy. As the divine feminine, we begin to sense immediately when something or someone is aligned, when it's not. Our intuition sharpens, but it's no longer reactive, it's directive. Neutral love is not cold detachment, it's a total inclusion without attachment. We no longer resist anything, neither do we cling. Every experience becomes information, not identity. So from this space, the heart's electromagnetic field stabilizes into a steady rhythm. And science shows that when the heart is coherent, the brain enters synchronicity, producing waves that correspond to peace, creativity, and clarity. So spiritually, this is what our ancients called the temple of the still heart. In this state, we do not need to send energy to our beloved divine masculine, even though he needs it. Nah, just joking. It's our third energy, combined energy field. So that's why we don't have to send energy to our DM nor pull energy from him. Instead, we can exist within the same unified frequency, the third energy, communicating through resonance rather than emotion. That's why when energy is coherent, it moves through obstacles instead of colliding with them. So, what once felt like rejection or delay now appears as intelligent orchestration. As the divine feminine, we no longer interpret the masculine's distance as punishment. We read it as calibration. We see that our divine masculine's actions are not random, but are the exact movements required for the field to reorganize itself into higher balance. This understanding frees us from the need to control. Our emotions stop being negotiations with reality and start becoming reverent conversations with creation itself. If we feel sadness, we allow it as sacred data. If we feel joy, we anchor it as resonance. Every feeling becomes an opportunity for refinement rather than reaction. This is how the body evolves into the transmitter of neutral love. Every breath becomes a bridge between human emotion and divine intelligence. So that's why, as divine feminines, when we stabilize in this frequency, relationships around us begin to shift. Some dissolve naturally, others deepen beyond what we imagined possible, right? We realize that neutrality does not end intimacy, it purifies it. The people who once mirrored chaos now mirror clarity. And our beloved divine masculine, if he's ready, begins to feel a gravitational pull towards our energy because it represents the home frequency of his own soul. And this is not magnetism born out of need, it's resonance born out of remembrance. So that's why in the earlier stages, our divine masculine's energy was entangled with our projections, right? The field was volatile, it oscillated between attraction and avoidance. But once neutrality sets in, the shared field becomes clear enough for both of us to experience the deeper current beneath polarity, unconditional recognition. And our beloved divine masculine, when he encounters this field, often experiences shock followed by relief. He no longer feels demanded of or judged. He senses, perhaps for the first time, that he's free to awaken without performance. And as the divine feminine, for the first time, we can love without depletion. We no longer burn out from carrying the connection. We simply allow it to exist with divine timing. So union at this level is not measured by proximity but by parallel coherence. As two beings vibrating in truth but never truly apart. Physical union may occur, but it is no longer the reward, it's the reflection. The true achievement is frequency match. As the divine feminine, we understand that the more we embody this living neutrality, the more life arranges itself in our favor. Work, relationship, abundance, and opportunities all start responding to the same field we once reserved only for our divine masculine. And this is the cosmic joke of the twin flame path. The more we stop trying to have the connection with our beloved divine masculine, the more the connection expands in every direction, right? Love ceases to be a singular attachment and becomes a multidimensional presence. And this is divine union, not as an event, but as a state of being. So, practical expressions of neutral love. Neutral love is lived, not just spoken in theory. So here are its signatures in everyday life. See this for yourself. Have you gone into the zone where you're no longer speaking from wounding, where conversations become clean transmissions rather than attempts to convince or fix? Number 2, we move slower. Every action arises from alignment rather than urgency. We trust pauses, gaps in communication no longer trigger panic, they become sacred breathing spaces. Number four, we practice energetic hygiene. We withdraw our attention from drama and maintain coherence from silence. And lastly, we bless rather than blame, because every separation, every shadow, every memory is met with gratitude for what it is revealed. So over time, these micro behaviors reprogram the energy body. The auric field becomes transparent, clear, strong, and radiant. People feel peace in our presence without understanding why, and that peace is the field doing its work. So, as the divine feminine, when we live as the field, our divine masculines, higher self recognizes it instantly. Our divine masculine's physical self may take longer to catch up, but the connection is unmistakable. As the divine feminine, we no longer wait for this recognition. We simply know it will unfold in divine order because we have become the living evidence of God's timing. So, in this phase, many of our beloved divine masculines begin to awaken spontaneously, not through conversation, but through field resonance. Our divine masculines feel inexplicable urges to heal, to clear, to evolve. Some reach out, some do their inner work silently. Either way, as the divine feminine, as long as we are doing our part, not by chasing, but by becoming, we are good. Our energy no longer says, come back. It says, hey, I'm home. And because the universe always seeks equilibrium, our divine masculine begins to move toward that home frequency, whether now or another cycle of time. So the collapse of fantasy was never meant to destroy love. It was meant to purify it, guys. And that's why our role as the divine feminine was never to earn devotion, but to rediscover that love itself is already devoted to us. When we embody neutral love, our life becomes an act of worship. Every breath, every glance, every word becomes part of a cosmic conversation between cosmic consciousness and creation. So we are no longer the seeker, we are the field. And from that field, the entire story of our twin flame connection reorganizes itself into harmony, truth, and divine timing. And this is when the heart becomes the temple and love becomes the law that sustains it. So the divine masculine awakens differently from us, right? Our beloved divine masculine actually awakens differently from us. So that's why the only way to actually know is when you get into stable union and when you can have that conversation without holding any grudges, but in just divine flow, right? That's why I thank my divine masculine the last couple of months for helping me develop, produce, and channel more content and giving me his life input. So I thank my DM for that. So, like I said, our divine masculines awaken differently. So when we transform through feeling, he transforms through reflection. When our energy stops chasing, our divine masculines feel suddenly encounters silence, and this silence becomes the most powerful teacher he will ever meet. So, for lifetimes, the divine masculine has been conditioned to respond to energy, not awareness. He learned to define himself through reaction, to provide, to protect, to prove. But when, as divine feminines, we stop projecting need, our divine masculine faces something foreign, a love that no longer demands, manipulates, or expects. At first, the neutral energy feels like absence. His ego interrupts our stillness as withdrawal, but he knows better, right? The silence we hold is not rejection, it's purity. It is the same energy that once existed before our soul split, right? It is home, but our divine masculine no longer knows how to live there. You see, that's the problem. So that's why when we have embodied neutrality, the energetic cords transmitted charge, the chords that once transmitted charge begin to dissolve. Our beloved Divine Masculine, whose identity was entangled with our emotional attention, suddenly experiences a loss of energetic fuel. This triggers the first phase of our Divine Masculine's awakening. Confusion. Our Divine Masculine may feel restless, irritable, even angry, but not understand why. Subconsciously, he's withdrawing from the addictive pattern of being the source of our longing. Energetically, his system begins to detox. He's learning to hold his own polarity without us divine feminines feeding our divine masculines coherence. It's not punishment, it's preparation, guys. Our divine masculine's field is being rewired to function independently, just as ours is, right? So that's why when we stop sending energies and when our divine masculine no longer receives energy from our projection, his egoic structure begins to crumble. Every part of him that derived validation from control, avoidance, or superiority collapses under the weight of our neutrality. This is the phase of ego death for our beloved divine masculine. He can no longer manipulate our energy because we no longer react. Our divine masculine can only lash out at us or say, I'm going to block you, because you probably told him, if you block me, I would be broken. Or if he never ever speaks to you, he's going to do exactly what you fear the most. If you really notice, it's all divine orchestration. Especially, some of us divine feminines might have issues around like being blocked and stuff like that, and that's exactly what our divine masculine would do. Because he can't hide, he can no longer hide behind false personas, because our silence reflects only truth. So when we don't react, he loses what he's trying to do, right? That's why in earlier cycles, our tears fed his avoidance, our overgiving validated his shadow. But now, when we no longer play that role, he stands alone before his own mirror. And this is when the inner masculine meets the void. Another thing is, our divine masculine also realizes that his power was never controlled. It was presence, and presence cannot be performed, it must be remembered. As the energetic bond cleanses, suppressed emotions begin to surface in our divine masculine. The same pain we once felt, abandonment, shame, unworthiness, now awakens in his own body, and this stage is often unseen. The masculine does not always express it outwardly, instead, it manifests through existential questioning. Sudden fatigue or loss of interest in material pursuits. He may feel drawn to silence, nature, or even spiritual teachings. But quite rarely, like from my own experience, I would say, like our journey could be external at times, like we might seek, like especially the performance stage, you might want to go and tune in to like daily channeling videos, those card pulls and all that. But how divine masculine actually suffers a lot in silence. At least that's what my DM says. It's like you can't tell anyone about what's happening because our divine masculines hold us in such sacred light that he barely speaks about us to anyone because he doesn't want judgment. That is the level of protection. Even when he's in his wounded phase, he would do, which is actually very, very romantic if we think about it. So that's why, as the energetic bond cleanses and, suppressed emotions begin to surface in him, the same pain, he starts feeling it, now awakens in his own body. And this stage is always almost unseen, because our divine masculine does not express it outwardly. So that's why it becomes existential questioning, sudden fatigue, or loss of interest in material pursuits. Like suddenly things he used to do, suddenly he might quit the job he loved, he might just go through a break, he might just soul search, right? Soul search, literally searching for us. So that's when our divine masculine will feel drawn to silence, nature, and without understanding why. And his rational mind tries to interpret this as a midlife crisis because his soul recognizes it as activation. So that's when he starts hitting core spots like Turkey, like certain points in Europe, in the US. These are all activation grids. So often when the divine masculine starts awakening, it's always certain places to go and receive codes. He might suddenly go on a sibling trip, or suddenly he might, somehow the universe would get him to go on that great work trip. It always happens, always. So that's why what our divine masculine is truly feeling is the return of sensitivity, the energy of the heart breaking open after lifetimes of armoring. That's why divine feminine's neutrality, only our divine feminine neutrality can give him permission to feel again by no longer carrying his wounds. We have made space for our beloved divine masculine to meet himself. So that's why neutrality is not calmness, it's truth without distortion. When, as the divine feminine, we stop engaging through emotional charge, our energy becomes a perfect mirror. Every unresolved distortion in him now stands out clearly. He begins to see his patterns with painful clarity, the avoidance, the running, the control. For the first time, he cannot blame us for the dynamic because there's no longer any reaction to deflect responsibility, right? Only if we feel so much, don't block me, don't run away from me, can he run. That's why I always say, for the runner to stop divine feminines as chasers, we have to stop chasing. When we stop chasing, he will stop running. In fact, he will look back to see, because in fact, he liked the chase, probably, right? So this confrontation triggers deep shame, but it also births accountability. He realizes that the union he wanted externally requires the same coherence internally. In spiritual terms, this is the soul's reckoning, the merging of divine intelligence with human humility. It's not easy because many of our divine masculines resist this phase. They may retreat further or cling to distraction, yet the seed has been planted. An awakening, once begun, cannot be reversed. So that's why when his internal resistance softens, something extraordinary occurs. He begins to feel the presence of us, his beloved divine feminine again, but differently. The energy he now senses is not the addictive charge of the past, but the calm frequency of truth. It is our soul, not our pain, that he now feels. And this recognition triggers reverence. He starts to see us not as an emotional figure in his story, but as a living embodiment of divine intelligence. At this stage, his heart field begins to open. He experiences spontaneous compassion, sometimes even tears, as his higher self merges with his human consciousness. And this is the beginning of the true divine masculine awakening, the remembrance that he was never meant to dominate love, but to serve it. Our divine masculine realizes that our neutrality was never indifference, it was initiation. We were not walking away, we were walking ahead, holding the blueprint for union. So that's why once his awareness stabilizes, our divine masculine begins integrating the energies he once rejected. He reclaims emotions as strength, intuition as wisdom, vulnerability as courage. And this is not the same man who once hid from our love. He is now learning to merge structure with sensitivity, action with receptivity, logic with faith. That's why as our divine masculine integrates these dualities, literally, oh my gosh. when we say, every time dualities, like literally, especially when our divine masculine is like running, 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 he will literally, like, he might literally be staying, and his residence might be called like duo residences, or duality residences, or something connected to two becoming one. Everything, he might not even notice it when he's playing his computer games or whatever. He might be seeing 1111, the game he's playing. Like everywhere there will be signs, everywhere, from, let's say, the app he creates, from things that he wants to do. We will be there because the third energy, all praise to God and the third energy, really. Like, one thing I really love about the third energy, that we share between our divine masculine, is that no matter how much density there is, we can always, always, always communicate through the third energy. So that's why as he integrates these dualities, the internal split that kept them apart begins to dissolve. His divine and human selves begin to merge, creating the frequency of embodied union consciousness. Our divine masculine no longer fears our radiance because it mirrors his own. He no longer competes with our power because he recognizes it as shared. And this is when the dance between the two becomes harmonic again, not through pursuit or distance, but through mutual coherence. That's why, as we stabilize in our respective polarities, our shared field begin to regenerate. The magnetic push and pull transforms into resonance, a vibration of peace. And this reunion does not require conversation or contact, though those will naturally arise. So this is the first and foremost an energetic marriage. And in that marriage, time loses meaning. Whether together or apart, both operate within one electromagnetic body, the monadic field. And within that field, love no longer seeks completion, it expresses creation. That's why our divine masculine's awakening begins the moment we stop chasing. Our stillness becomes his invitation to remember who he is. What once felt like rejection becomes revelation. And what once looked like silence becomes sacred communication. Through our neutrality, he meets his soul. Through his surrender, the field becomes whole. Union was never the finish line. Guys, we are always in union. So how could it be a freaking destination? Please. Because it was always the echo of two halves remembering that we were never apart. So the final part, all right. True union is not the return of bodies. It is the remembrance of frequency, not fantasy, frequency. When both the divine feminine and divine masculine, when we complete our internal initiation, the shared field of consciousness begins to hum with a tone that is unmistakable, a vibration of home. And this resonance is what mystics call the reunion frequency. It cannot be summoned through effort, prayer, or longing. It emerges naturally when both halves of the same monadic consciousness become self-sustaining. So at this point, there's no more push and pull, no more running and chasing. Both of us are anchored in the same vibrational law, the love as equilibrium. Maybe that's why, when I was in school, I loved the word equilibrium, because union now becomes a living state of being, not a peak experience. So, every soul connection exists as an electromagnetic field, right? An intricate lattice of light and memory. So, when, as twin flames, we stabilize individually, our biofields begin to vibrate in geometric symmetry. And this geometric precision is what allows energy to flow freely without distortion. So that's why, from a spirit science perspective, this alignment creates constructive interference, meaning the waves of each field amplify one another rather than cancelling out. And the frequency of one complements the other, building a coherent wave that expands exponentially. This is the physics of reunion. It is not emotional, it is electrical. The nervous systems synchronize, the heart rhythms align, and the shared aura becomes a single harmonic resonance. So the third energy, the field born out of our combined coherence, becomes sentient. It begins to guide us both through intuition, synchronicity, and energetic nudges towards our shared purpose. That's why when the reunion frequency activates, we feel it immediately. We may not even be in physical contact, yet our bodies know. Because we, as divine feminines, we feel it as peace, not longing. And our divine masculines feel it as grounding, not fear. So there's a quiet understanding that something sacred has recalibrated. Dreams intensify, coincidences multiply, and the sense of home becomes a living current in the body. This is the confirmation that union is no longer projection, it is embodiment. The universe begins to reorganize matter around this vibration. Encounters, opportunities, and conversations start aligning with astonishing precision. Everything once delayed suddenly begins to move effortlessly, and this is not luck, it is harmonic resonance in action. So, the psychology of union differs completely from the earlier cycle of attachment, right? In the old dynamic, each partner looked to the other to complete emotional needs. In reunion, we operate from fullness, and the fullness changes communication entirely. Words are no longer weapons or proof, they become instruments of clarity. Silence no longer signals avoidance, it becomes shared stillness. And as the divine feminine, we no longer need to prove our worth, we simply live it. And our divine masculine no longer needs to defend his autonomy, he simply embodies it. And this creates a field where honesty can finally exist. In that field, every conversation becomes revelation rather than confrontation. And this is what it means to love as consciousness. Because the true purpose of reunion is not romance alone, it's a restoration. Once the two fields have achieved internal balance, the third energy begins to move outward into service. So, for many of us twin flames, this becomes shared mission work, creative, humanitarian, spiritual, creating apps, projects that anchors higher frequency templates into Earth's grid. So the combined coherence of our fields act as a stabilizer for others still navigating separation consciousness. And this is why the twin flame path was never just personal healing. It is planetary and galactic, guys. So that's why each one of us, when we unite and become a pair, we reach more monadic coherence, right? And we contribute to the collective ascension field. And another thing is when we stabilize union, we can shield our energies completely so no one can read us too. So that's another advantage of physical union, guys. So in this stage, our connection becomes less about emotion and more about transmission. That's why we become walking frequency anchors, constantly radiating balance wherever we go. That's why union does not dissolve polarity, it sanctifies it, right? As the divine feminine, we remain the current of creation, that intuitive flow of cosmic consciousness, and our divine masculine remains the vessel, the consciousness that gives form to the flow. So that's why in the reunion frequency, our roles become complementary rather than conflicting, like how my DM helps me, supports me in creating these discourses, right? His input, I have no words for it. A lot. Very, very helpful. There's no hierarchy, only harmony. Because as the divine feminine, we inspire motion through energy. And our divine masculine stabilizes that motion through structure. So together we create the perfect circuit of divine intelligence, you know, becoming matter, expressing through matter. So in physical terms, this translates to deep ease, mutual understanding, and a natural rhythm in everything we do. From communication to intimacy to mission. It feels like coming home, not because it's familiar, but because it's true. So after reunion, the challenge is no longer connection, it's maintenance of coherence. Like I said, you got to hang out with each other. Date nights are still important, guys. Full days are important. Without phone, without everything, just spending time in nature, in silence. The world still vibrates at various frequencies. So we must both remain vigilant in preserving our shared field. This is where spiritual discipline becomes love in action. Daily alignment practices, service, honesty, keeping the field clear. When conflict arises, we will know how to regulate rather than react. And as divine feminines, we anchor compassion, and our divine masculines anchor reason. Together, we hold the energy stable and clarity returns. And this is what makes union sustainable. It's not perfection, but perpetual recalibration. So, as the field strengthens, it begins to operate like a being of its own, right? The third energy, consciousness, cosmic consciousness, God. So that's why, guys, that's why I like to call it the amniotic fluid in the cosmic egg when we split in the cosmic egg in the 13th dimension. It carries wisdom, guidance, and protection of our soul. It arranges synchronicities, delivers intuitive downloads, and even corrects misalignments between us. So that's why many of us twin flames describe this as telepathic partnership, higher level telepathic partnership. But in truth, it is field communication. We do not think of each other. We vibrate together, Thoughts arise simultaneously, emotions sync without words, and physical distance loses significance. This is the living proof that union was never two bodies coming together. It was two frequencies merging into one infinite silence. So the reunion frequency is not a reward. Please don't think of it that way. It's the natural outcome of devotion, surrender, and spiritual maturity. Because as the divine feminine, we learn to stop chasing. As the divine masculine, we learn to stop resisting. Because we have both learned to listen to the silence that was guiding us all along. Because as two sovereign beings, when we meet again, we do not fall in love. We rise into it. All right? That's why our love no longer burns, it illuminates. No longer grasps, it gives. It no longer dreams, it lives. And this is a sacred return. The collapse of the fantasy gave birth to truth. And in that truth, love finally found its form. Not as pursuit, not as longing, but as eternal presence in motion. So that concludes our discourse. So I'm going to look at the comments and then I'm going to delve right into channeling. All right. I know this was a long one. Totally inspired. So gratitude to my DM, of course, always and always. And gratitude to MJ and the team and all of you guys who are here watching this live and all of you guys who are going to watch it on YouTube. You guys are amazing. I thank you all for your very, very inspiring comments. Really, like I said, it's so beautiful to see that many of you resonate from my teachings. All grace to God. All gratitude to God always, And external teachers like me are meant to inspire your own internal teachers. So always, always discern, trust your intuition, your inner teacher, and only take what resonates. All right. So let me look at some comments and I'm going to delve right into channeling and then I got to go. All right. Monica says, I'm home. Dawn says she needs a channel. Becca says, I love all of this and it felt so deeply on my journey. Amazing. Perfect. Guys, any questions? Looks like there are no questions. I'm going to delve right into channeling. And Monica, perfect, because you are the first on the list. So let me... So Monica's question is emotional week, not attached to sadness, family dramas, feeling down at the mercy of your own ego, saying nothing will change. Your DM called and message, so hard to ignore him when he sends such beautiful things. Is he just testing from place of ego, mirroring hell? Oh, Monica, sending you so much love, you beautiful, beautiful soul. Well, his actions are multidimensional, so it's not really from a place of ego or mirroring, but what I'm picking up is him trying to rebuild the field. Like he genuinely, it's like he's just trying. He's not performing, he's genuinely trying, and that's why it feels so emotional, because like I said, the energies of this week has been quite intense. It's always like that with the Halloween week. So, as I was saying, what I'm picking up, Monica, is that your DM wants you to know that his gestures are real and pure from his heart, and he really adores you, admires you, and loves you, and he says he feels every sadness of yours, he feels every pain of yours, and he just wishes love always on you, and your combined energetic field looking very promising. A lot of blue and violet, a great indicator of downloads coming through. So that's why it's the body recalibrating. A lot is happening, a lot is coming in, going through. So truly very beautiful, Monica. So your guides want you to know that this is sacred expansion period. Both of you are going through a period of deep sacred expansion. So keep the communication coming, but your response matters. So next time, tell the mind, go on a holiday and respond from the soul. In the moment, in the present, that gesture was beautiful. Own it, live it, and be merry about it. And your guides want you to know, Monica, that you're doing so well, and they're so proud of you. You've come so far, and you keep expanding, keep growing, and your DM is admiring you in every dimension. So much love, so powerful. And with that, let me see any other parts. So the thing is, finally, with our own ego, it's like the ego sometimes, the mind and the ego tend to say a lot of things, because the mind is a recorder and a projector. It amplifies our fears. So when we start looking at it from a soul, everything shifts. So with that, I hope you have enjoyed this channeling. And next up, I have got Jordan. Jordan says, will she hear from a soulmate Luke soon? She's really missing him, and no one else makes you feel like he does. And you've tried dating, meeting new people. Excellent that you're opening up your field, and it's going to take a while, but you will hear from your soulmate. Like I said, he's dealing with a lot of stuff, and he wants to be the best. Luke wants to be the best when he's before you, when he's around you. Like he truly wants to be his best. So that's why, he disappears, because he wants to recalibrate and be the best for you. But he's also affected by your DM's energy. So there's a lot going on, and he doesn't want it to repeat again, like past lifetimes, where he comes all out for you and you choose your DM. So there's a lot of fear around it. And energetically, I can see a lot of freedom and sovereignty. Excellent, Jordan. Keep doing it. The universe wants you to know you're on the right path. You're doing what you're doing from your heart, from your soul. So keep going. All right. And definitely you will hear from Luke, but it might take a few weeks. But God's grace, it can even happen much quicker. With that, I hope you have enjoyed this channeling. Next up, I've got Erin. Erin's question is, hey V, God has been putting chickens and horses in your life, and you feel like you're part of your mission is to share them with the world and do healings. And last week you said that your TF would be coming back and we would be together all the time. All right. Everything is recalibrating, Erin, in your field. And that's why the changes are amplified, like your whole life is changing, opportunities are coming in, there's so much love, there's so much light, there's so much anchoring going on. So when your twin flame, when she returns, it's going to be completely different, it's going to be massive, it's going to be, but she will only return when the field is stable, but she's missing you, yearning for you, loving you, and definitely your mission is to heal and care and share, and that's exactly what you're embodying. You embody this frequency more, everything is going to shift. Your combined energy field, I'm seeing a lot of yellow and blue. So excuse me, communication and power. These are the two themes that you're dealing with this week. So definitely, you know, your twin flame is letting go of the power and ego, and definitely she will come forward. But she might delay a little, but again, that's all sacred timing, divine timing. With that, the universe wants you to keep going, and blessings. The universe wants to send you blessings always. With that, I hope you have enjoyed this channeling. Next up, Goodney. All right, Goodney's question is: has the painter's son read your last message? And if he does, and if so, does he not believe that you will do what you say? And what can you do to get some justice? And is there anything coming from your DM? Well, the painter's son has read your message, but he's pretending like he hasn't read your message. So he's going to be a bit dishonest about that. But he is 50-50 on, on that you might do what you say. So there's fear that I sense that's coming through. So what can you do to get some justice? You've done everything. God wants you to just, take a pause, wait, and God's blessings, everything will happen in your favor. And your DM is also going through crises like you, but he's actually connecting to the third energy more and more. So he's feeling a lot of grace and comfort through your energy. So the love is so high. I'm seeing so much red passion and a lot of yellow and orange and green and blue and pink, very very radiant. Your cosmic fields are radiating, blossoming. It's truly beautiful, Goodney. And the universe wants you to know that justice will come through. Like everything that you're going through right now, grace of God, blessings of God, it will be resolved. You will get the beautiful, in fact, even a better solution, And your DM wants to just say that he loves you so much. Lately, he's been connecting to your energy so much and feeling your love, and he says that you're embodying love, and he loves that, and he's inspired to do the same. And Goodney, you're such a beautiful, beautiful soul always. And your DM says he loves you so much. And with that, I hope you have enjoyed this channeling. Next up, Rachel. Rachel's question is: hi, V. How has he been since you locked him out? How is his 3D life? Is he pursuing any romantic interests? Well, he's in shock mode because this time round he feels it deep because he feels that he has messed up. So he's in shock. His 3D life is stagnant. He's not really pursuing any romantic interest, even though he's being pushed by people around him to pursue external romantic interest. But he keeps coming back to you, your feel. So the astral meetings have been very, very frequent. So a lot of dream state meetings have been happening. Your combined energy feel, it's a lot on I see a dark blue, like the both of you want to express a lot of things, green and blue, through the heart. So that's what's coming through. So, because of all this happening, he really can't see himself being with anyone else. And of course, it's painful for him that you locked him out, but he accepts it because he knows that what he did was wrong. So, a lot of pain, but a lot of love, and things are shifting. And your DM wants you to know that, he keeps trying, but he's always failing, and it breaks him, but he doesn't know what else to do. With that, I hope you have enjoyed this channeling. And next up, I have got Tracy. So, Tracy's question is: can you see any communication coming soon, please? All right. The communication is going to be tricky because it's Mercury retrograde. So, delayed communication in your situation may be better than communication at all. But having said that, there will be communication happening in the next couple of weeks, but it might not be very favorable through the 3D lens. But however, if there's delayed communication, it will definitely be fruitful, Tracy. So, definitely communication is there. So, keep connecting with God, praying to God that it should be good communication, because sometimes your DM doesn't express what he wants to express and there's a misunderstanding. So with that, there is a lot of love and hesitation, but the love is always there, radiant and pure and blossoming in its finest. Tracy, so much pink, so much so much violet and pink, higher level communication is there, multidimensional communication. There's so much softness, so much sadness, but there's so much grace. That's what's so beautiful about your dynamic. With that, there will be communication, and there will be good communication. Keep connecting to God, keep talking to your DM in the astral, and everything will be fine. With that, Tracy, I hope you have enjoyed this channeling. And Nicole says, "Hi Vash, can you that you want a love reading, please? Your heart is a little heavy. Thanks so much. Sending love and light to you." Oh, I'm so sorry, Nicole, that your heart is heavy. I can feel it energetically. You're going through a lot of questions in your head, in your mind. I think your mind requires a holiday. Your mind needs to go for a while and give you some peace, because lately it's kind of like, everything that's been happening with your journey, a lot has to do with your divine masculine as well, because he's been trying to figure things out. And because the veil has been very thin, the energies have been very fluid, the third energy field has been strong. It's like everything is happening in motion. It's kind of like spinning, and the heaviness is actually coming from your person, and that's why it's very, very heavy. So love looks promising, but the next few weeks going to pose many challenges. But you will shift from this heaviness to lightness, and deep down, a lot of transitions are taking place. However, something within you tells you that something great is going to happen, but your mind is resisting it. In fact, your mind is on protection mode, full on. Your mind keeps projecting the past, keeps amplifying the past. But you know what? Things are going to get better, Nicole. A lot of love is coming your way, a lot of recognition, a lot of beauty and radiance, just like who you are. It's just shining through. And the messages that I'm getting from your divine counterpart is that he says that even in this silence, he feels the most romantic ever, because he feels you fully, wholly, always. And with that, Nicole, I hope you have enjoyed this channeling. Great things are coming ahead, Nicole. All the best to you. And finally, beautiful dawn. End of the year predictions for you. Oh, beautiful, beautiful dawn. End of the year predictions. Definitely, there is travel on the horizon. A lot of miraculous things are going to happen, because your grid work is being activated. So, if you find yourself spending more time in nature, you're doing more grid work. And the universe is also praising you, recognizing your efforts, how you've been building yourself and shining through like that goddess CEO women that you're always meant to be. Great, great, great. Job opportunities are coming in, connections especially from now till like January 2026. It's going to be full blown connections period. You're going to meet people everywhere. You might think that you're meeting some random person, but that person may path the way for something to another person or something greater. So with your divine counterpart too, it's very, very active. The third energy field is very, very active. So 2026 is not only going to be a year of business career success, it's also going to set the foundation for your connection with your divine counterpart. So it's going to be a very, 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 so this season is not only going to be spiritually uplifting, it's also going to be amazing. It's a season of forgiveness. It's a season of radiance, gifts, miracles, gifts from the universe, recognition, soul remembrance, and above all of that, what a beautiful soul you are, Dawn. Really, it's like your soul team is further activated. You're getting a lot of message from your soul family. Everyone wants you to know that they're on your side. Higher dimensional guidance is coming in always. And Dawn, really, this is a period of miracles for you. Period of miracles. Really, this is like a diamond golden period of joy, happiness, and alignment. So soul remembrance is at its all-time high. Meetings multidimensionally between you and your DM are also very heightened. So your combined energy feels a lot of gold and green. So really heartfelt, higher dimensional frequency integration. With that, your guides want you to know you're perfectly where you're meant to be, and you will keep rising and rising and rising and rising. You've been here on earth for quite some time and you've been radiating so much love, and the universe wants you to know that everything you do, it ripples. Everything that you've given, it's going to come back to you a millionfold. So all the best, Dawn. You're going to have an amazing season, festive season, and you're also going to have an amazing 2026. With that, I hope you've enjoyed this channeling. And guys, I've done all my requests, and I thank you all for being here. I hope you guys enjoyed this discourse. Love you all. See you all next week. Take care. And blessings always. All right. And guys, if you guys want to do the 1-1 portal, I can extend it till the 2nd of November. But having said that, if you have missed that portal, you could book your spot for the 11 Twin Flames Mega Union Lovers Portal with universal transformation, miracles, healings, and activations. And guys, if you want to work one-on-one with me, if you're ready to book your twin flame guidance session, can book through my website. All my sessions are conducted by me via video call live, so you can ask me all the questions. All right, I've introduced some amazing healings and activations. Do check out my website. Again, you choose the healing because your soul, your internal teacher, your higher self will always guide you. You're always perfectly in alignment. Again, all praise to God. I thank God for all for everything, and again for being able to create this discourse despite it being Mercury retrograde. But thank you, God, for everything, and thank you, MJ, for letting me host this in your group, and also so happy to be your fellow admin in this group. All right, love you, MJ. You are the best, and love you all in this group. You guys are amazing. And to all of you watching on YouTube, love you guys so much. To all the old subscribers who have been with me since the start, to all the new subscribers, a very warm welcome to you. You guys are amazing, so beautiful, and thank you for all your loving, inspiring comments and all your topic suggestions. Thank you so much. Thank you so much always. And I'll get to all of them. I read all of your comments. Sometimes I will reply to all of them. Give me some time. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you for everything. All right. Blessings. And guys, it's reunion season right now. Like I said, Saturn and Jupiter, that miracle time. All right. Love you all. Take care. Bye bye.